My name's Angelo, and welcome to We Want Picks. This is the only channel dedicated to UFC fight picks and DraftKings lineups run by MMA insiders and professional fighters. Every week, I join Dan Kramer and Nick Newell, two longtime professional fighters that have fought at the highest levels on the planet, as well as Jacob Lyons, a skinny kid from Indiana. So join us every single week for our full fight card breakdowns, our individual fight card breakdowns, our betting guide, and our DraftKings lineups. Next up at UFC 265, we have Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munhoz in the co-main event. Jose Aldo, 29-7 overall, all-time legend, right? Everybody watching this knows who Jose Aldo is. He is 2-3 in his last five, coming off of a pretty solid win, honestly. He did pretty decent against Marlon Vera. Pedro Munhoz, 19-5 overall, 3-2 in his last five. Also coming off of a really nice win against Jimmy Rivera. That was a very, very fun fight. Jose Aldo, all-time great. Former champion. I can't say enough good things about him. I know back in the day when he fought Conor McGregor, I was like, Jose Aldo wins this fight. There's no way Jose Aldo loses. And then he got starched. And there were all these brand new Conor McGregor fans that just, Jose Aldo sucks. And it's like, no, go watch Jose Aldo fight. And some of them, unnamed on this show, I'm not going to say who, was like, he is good. I did watch some fights. Jose Aldo.
That was a fun moment for both of us because that was when we first really started hanging out, and you started getting me into the UFC, and I'm like, I love this Conor McGregor guy. He seems like a lot of fun. You're like, listen, you don't understand how good Jose Aldo is. You don't get it. I understand Conor's good, but you don't get Jose is another level. He's gonna dominate this fight. And I went to your house and watched that fight and just crack. I'm like, and you're like, Jesus Christ!
They fight 100 times. That happens once.
Look what you created, Angelo.
And here we are.
Yeah. So Jose Aldo fight style. Obviously, he's an incredible striker, very good counter striker, very technical Muay Thai. He has legitimately good black belt in BJJ. He has good offensive and incredible defensive wrestling. He's an all-time great. His leg kicks back in the day were killer. Go watch him versus who's pretty California boy, Uriah Faber.
You can watch him against Peter Yan last year. I think he knocked down Yan with a leg kick.
His leg kicks were savage. He hasn't used them as much as he did back in the day, but he has savage leg kicks. He's a nightmare for almost anybody that he fights. What I will say, if you go to Tapology, it says he's 34 years old. He's not 34 years old. He's 40-something years old. I'm not going to get into the details, but he's 40-something years old. He's not 34 years old. He has miles on him. He has been through wars, and he's starting to fade. We're starting to see it. He's still beating the people he's supposed to beat, but he's going to start to fade. He has started to fade, and he's going to start to lose to these up-and-comers. And I think Pedro Munhoz might be one of those guys. They're very similar styles. Pedro Munhoz is also a striker. He's nonstop with his leg kicks. He's using them more than Aldo is at this point in their career. He's using them a ton. He may come in and chop down the Aldo tree. He may say, I need to slow Aldo down, kick those legs, and do that. If he fights the same fight against Jose Aldo that he did against Jimmy Rivera, I think he absolutely wins. This is an incredibly close fight. I do like Pedro in this fight. I think Aldo's miles are a problem. And I think at this point in his career, I don't know if he has that same passion, that same dedication. I think he's fighting because he loves to do it. Where Pedro Munhoz, this is his opportunity. I think he absolutely takes it. And I have Pedro Munhoz winning I'm assuming a close decision. I don't know if he'll put Aldo away, but I think he chops off those leg kicks and gets it done. Danny boy, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what you just said. I think, definitely the 34 years old part. I don't know if he's over 40 though. I don't know how you know that, but at any rate, yeah, I think it's gonna be a good fight. I think this is where we might start to see Aldo fade just a little bit. And in this division, guys are so good. That's all it takes, just a step behind. I see this being competitive, but I think Pedro Munoz will win a decision. I think he'll land the better shots, the cleaner shots. I think he's got more power in his hands. As much as I like both these guys, obviously I'm always going to take the ATT guy, but I really think Pedro Munoz has the style. He's younger. I think he's going to be a little fresher. And this also too, Jose Aldo, this part of his career, he always has a pretty tough weight cut. At some point that's going to affect him. So I don't know if he's 40, but if he's not 34, let's say he's 36.
No, there shouldn't be any issue because this is a welterweight fight, apparently, according to the graphic.
Oh, right.
Graphic. Keep it
This should
moving.
be good to go.
Oh my, that changes everything. Jose Aldo at welterweight.
Yeah.
Wow, Angela, you should have told us that earlier.
Oh, I'm sorry,
look at-
guys. One
Jacob
man band.
spends the first into every graphic while we're talking. He's just searching.
You already
for
missed another
any
typo
error.
earlier.
I saw that one too. I'm not even trying to look for it. Taika Torres, that one, or did you miss that one?
No, there was another one.
All right, listen,
Oh,
guys.
Jesus,
I do the
Angela, you're a
graphics by
disaster,
myself.
Angela.
This is a tough week for me and my family. Okay, so a little bit.
Oh
of
my,
sympathy.
really? He's
There
pulling
it
that
is.
card.
I pulled
All
it.
right,
I
move
pulled it.
along.
There it is.
He gave you so much crap every time you messed any graphic.
Jacob had
up,
literally
Jacob.
one job. I have 10 jobs now.
Mm.
I do all of it. Anyway, you're done. The odds have moved.
Oh, no, that doesn't work like that, pal. I'll finish up my breakdown, and that might even take a little bit longer just because that was obnoxious. Yeah, I like Munoz. I think he's gonna. I would actually be cool. It would be cool if they just both came out and just started going leg kick for leg kick against each other for like a solid round and a half. But I think this is going to be like a changing of the guard fight where Munoz wins. I don't want to say too close of a decision, but I think he's going to win a competitive, but win a decision. And I think he's going to get in Jose Aldo's face. I don't think he's going to let anybody have a pace or get a rhythm. I think he's going to go forward, pressure Aldo, and put a pace on him.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned I like Pedro here too. What I'll mention very quickly before I go to you, Jacob, is the line has moved quite a bit. So today's Tuesday. I did these graphics on Sunday because I'm very prepared. And on Sunday, Aldo was a minus 140 favorite. Now it is a pick'em. Aldo is minus 110. Pedro Munoz is also minus 110. This is a pick'em. It's an even fight. So money came in on Pedro Munoz as the underdog. Jakey boy, you going with the all-time great or the surging up-and-comer?
I have never seen so much disrespect to Jose Aldo in my entire life. The guy has lost to all champs, basically. Conor McGregor, champ. Max Holloway, twice champ. Volkanovski, champ. Peter Yan, champ. And then Marlon Moraes, who was almost a champ. It's crazy. And you mentioned the weight cut, Dan.
He beat Marlon Moraes. Like, that was a bad decision.
Right.
And even the UFC was like, that was a trash decision.
Right.
We're going to treat it like a win. You get the title fight.
Right. So, I mean, you talk about he's looking bad. I mean,
I didn't think he was looking bad. I said he's going to start to fade.
You know, it's crazy talk. He's only 34 years old. And I'm glad you mentioned the weight cut, Dan, because he was the featherweight champion. He started making the trek down to bantamweight, which is another 10 pounds. And actually on the embedded this week, he says that he cuts less weight now than he did when he was cutting weight for featherweight. So he completely changed his body. He definitely looks you're used to seeing him as featherweight because he was kind of a big featherweight. He's not a tall guy, but he's a big, thick featherweight. And he really did change his entire body. He looks different. Even at the last time you saw, or I think the first time you saw him cut down to 135, you're kind of worried because he was having those rough cuts at 145. And then you see him, you're like, oh, he doesn't look too bad. And he came out and looked great. So the weight cut, I don't think is going to be an issue. I think he feels great. I think he looks great. You know, Pedro is good, but I just don't think he's as good as Aldo. And I think I'm glad you mentioned that leg kicks, Angel. I think he comes out and just whips bang, 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 3 leg kicks in a row, really sets the tone for the fight, the rest of the fight, and then uses his precision and his striking to I think, dominate this fight, honestly. I think he's on a different level than Pedro. I think he still has it. I think he still can compete for a title, whether it's at welterweight or at bantamweight. So I have Aldo in my lineup, and I like him in this matchup.
Yeah, I mean, my heart will be with Aldo for sure. I love that dude. Awesome fighter, ton of fun, all-time great. I loved watching his career. I just, all of these careers come to an end, and I think he's on the
I just
wrong
don't
side
know
of history.
what you guys have seen to see that he's slowing down. He's been losing decision versus champions and beating everyone else.
That's a fair point, Jacob. He's looked good in a lot of these fights, but I think it's one of those things where I hate to say it's bound to happen, but Munoz has looked good too. Like even the best. Well, I shouldn't say that. I think this is a close fight at any point throughout their career. I just think at some point he's got a lot of fights, whether it's age or just miles, right? Like at some point it's going to play a factor. And Munoz is
Pedro's got an incredible pace, also nasty leg kicks. Like Jose's gonna be trying to keep up.
I'm not confident that will happen. That's just what I think. I mean, this is not like a Munoz landslide, but I just think he's going to have the edge. The younger, hungrier, up and comer, wanting to get back to that, the top of the division spot. So,
yep.
He got. I don't want to say gifted, but he caught Garbrandt on Garbrandt's way down. Caught him. He lost to Aljamain Sterling, lost to Frankie Edgar, and then just happens to beat Jimmy Rivera. So
there's a split decision to Frankie Edgar. Okay,
I know, but still, it's not like he's running through people on this wild streak, and then he's running in a gatekeeping match versus Aldo. It's just he's just kind of doing his thing, and Aldo's doing his thing, and Aldo's Aldo, man.
And so we're live right now. Somebody said he's not younger. Pedro Munoz is younger. Do not listen to Tapology. Jose Aldo is not 34 years old. Let's move on to the main event.
Allegedly.
And by the way, if they are right, and whatever, it doesn't matter. He's younger in fight years, that's for sure. It feels like.
Yes. Yes. And actually, quick before we move on, the Monkey Knife Fight line. I like more or less. 94.5 is a lot. I don't. If he hits Jose Aldo 94.5 times, it's going to look like the Peter Yan fight. I don't think I think 94.5 is a lot. What do you think, Jacob?
I probably play more and more.
More and more. All right. Busy fight.
They're just little guys.
That is true. Well, they're welterweights.
More and more is a lot. I don't know. More or less.
I agree more or less.